Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found lifeless in the front yard of a Canton home. His body, battered and bruised, lay just outside the house where his girlfriend, Karen Reed, claimed she had dropped him off the night before. Now, years later, the courtroom is packed. The nation's eyes locked on an unfolding drama of Reed's retrial. The prosecution says she backed her SUV into O'Keefe, left him in the snow, and never looked back. The defense, however, tells a far darker tale of a cover-up involving law enforcement, planted evidence, and a powerful blue wall. Social media has become a battleground with viral videos, heated protests, and TikTok sleuths igniting a public obsession. Every witness, every cross-examination adds fuel to the fire. Was this a tragic accident, a calculated murder, or a twisted conspiracy? As Karen Reed stands trial again, the search for the truth continues in Dedham, Massachusetts. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard. Day 2 of the Karen Reed trial. And it's very clear that Karen Reed has proclaimed her innocence, saying, "I am innocent." She said it in the beginning. She says it in interviews. She says it on television. She says it outside the courthouse. One question I have is she going to say that inside the courtroom on the witness stand? We'll see. We're a long ways away from that decision having to be made. But she's proclaimed her innocence, and she has a lot of support. Now, obviously, we've seen the support from Turtle Boy and all of his followers, the Turtle Riders. We've seen it on social media. We have seen this explosion of support for this woman who no one knew before this case, someone who became famous for being charged with murder. And she has that support. But the most important support for Karen Reed has really been her family, who've been in court every day. They come in with her, they come out with her, her brother, her father. The family is there. And for them, they believe in Karen's innocence. So they believe this is a wrongful prosecution, and they are trying to stop and keep her from having to spend perhaps the rest of her life behind bars. And they feel the gravity of the situation from their perspective. Now, let's take a look at the other side of the court. And we begin with John O'Keefe, of course. John O'Keefe was raising his sister's children. Why? Why was he raising his nephew and niece? He was raising them because when they were 3 and 6 years old, their mother got a tumor and died within 5 months of finding out. And then 2 months after that, their father had a heart attack and passed away. Within 2 months, a 3 and a 6-year-old go from growing up in a happy household with a mom and dad to no mom, then no dad. So John O'Keefe stepped in and he was raising them. They were living with him. He's working as a Boston police officer. He's a single dad. He's got help from his mom. He's got help from other folks. But the bottom line is he was raising these children. So now these children lost mom, they lost dad, and then their uncle stepped in and for years was raising them, and now he's gone. This is another family tragedy now. Think about what this family has been through. Think about the parents of John O'Keefe. You lose your daughter, you lose your son-in-law, and then you lose your son? It's unthinkable. It's unthinkable. So there was testimony today from Kerry Roberts. Kerry Roberts, good friend of John O'Keefe's. I think they went to the junior prom together, then reconnected later in life. The children that John was raising, Kerry was helping. She had children the same age. So, you know, friends, they lean on each other when you have kids of the same age. Can you give them a ride? Can you do this? Can you do that? And you help each other out. And that was the nature of their relationship. So Kerry Roberts was close to John O'Keefe and his family. And when she found out that John was in the hospital, she is the one who had to call the O'Keefes. And she spoke with John O'Keefe's mother. And there was a part of that conversation that she testified to today that really struck me. Take a listen.
When they put him in the back of the ambulance, I then made a call to Mrs. O'Keefe. I think I called Mr. O'Keefe first, but he didn't answer. So I called Mrs. O'Keefe and told her John had been in an accident. And she screamed, "I can't do this again."
Can you imagine getting that call? It's like, I can't do this again. I can't do this again. And that was a big part of what today was about, because John O'Keefe's mother took the stand and is extremely tragic and emotional and everything else. So let's bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, who's joining us live in Dedham, Massachusetts. He is outside of the courthouse, obviously inside the courtroom. Let's talk about John O'Keefe's mom. I can't imagine what it was like in there and how emotional this moment was for everyone inside.
Vinnie, nice to see you. It was a very heavy day in court today, very emotional. The most emotional day, maybe even between the two trials. Peggy O'Keefe didn't testify in trial number one, and when she was up on the stand today, I was right behind the O'Keefe family. They were crying in the gallery, and she broke down in tears right away. You could feel the mood just drop in the courtroom. The jurors stopped taking notes. It was just very palpable as she described all the loss in her family, losing 3 children, essentially, her daughter, her son-in-law, and then her son. Take a listen.
My daughter, Kristen, had a tumor, a cancerous tumor that she had for 5 months. And she died in November of 13. She had 2 children. And then 2 months after she passed, her husband passed from a heart attack. And then you all know about John. And then my son Paul is over there.
So the courtroom, as you know, Vinnie, you've been in there. It is very tiny. It's just right up there. The windows face the street here. And it was completely quiet because actually, you know, what doesn't come across on camera, she was so soft-spoken. Everyone is just leaning in, including the O'Keefe family, to hear every word that she had to say. And then I have to tell you this much, you know, she walks off of the stand there. She goes out into the gallery, and she's embraced by her family. They're rubbing her shoulders. And you could see Hank Brennan, you know, signal to her that she did a good job. And this is the first witness that we've seen not cross-examined by Alan Jackson or the defense team, Vinnie.
And like any case, and we talked about this beforehand, that in the first trial, you know, the role of John O'Keefe, there wasn't that human factor. Like, yeah, his brother testified, his father testified, but I think Mrs. O'Keefe really made us feel the gravity of what the family has been through. And I think it's important. It's important. It's part of the story. It's part of this case. Okay, now let's talk about the first witness of the day, Kerry Roberts. What can you tell us about Kerry Roberts?
Well, essentially, she's one of the star witnesses of the Commonwealth's case, right? She's one of the 3 women that discover victim John O'Keefe. Kerry Roberts is with Jen McCabe, who is with Karen Reed when they discovered John in 2022 on the lawn of 34 Fairview. Well, it turns out, you know, according to testimony today, they've become very good friends since this all took place. In fact, this morning was the last time they spoke. Jen McCabe called Kerry Roberts to wish her well, wish her good luck before testimony today. And then it came out the fact that they hung out several days after this incident, and they wanted to get their story straight, or at least build a timeline. Listen to this.
Isn't it true that you were next asked by Mr. Lally in front of the grand jury, quote, what, if anything, did she, Miss Reed, ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, end quote? Do you remember being asked that question?
No.
You were so detailed that you talked about where you were standing next to the cruiser open door, correct?
Yes.
What the others were doing, holding hands and praying, is that right?
Yes.
And the actual words used, you're as detailed about all of that as the actual words used. She asked her to Google hypothermia and how long, and then you stopped, Google hypothermia, end quote, correct?
Correct.
You will agree, at least for that purpose, you painted a very, very detailed picture in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
Yeah.
Except it's not true, is it?
I did not hear her ask that. I was told she was asked that.
The answer to my question, Ms. Roberts, and I'm a trick question. What you told the grand jurors was not true. You never heard her, my client, ask anyone to Google anything, did you?
I did not.
And yet, that's what you testified to under oath, under penalty of perjury, in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
I did.
Okay, so that was one of the two big bombshells from that cross-examination, and then how it left with Alan Jackson pointing out the fact that she made this statement and stopped herself in prior testimony saying that the defendant asked her to Google how long, and then stops right there. So that's going to come back when we get to the whole Google search with Jen McCabe, which is so critical for the conspiracy theory and the third-party culprit defense that the defense wants to put on.
Right, because if you have two people saying that, oh yeah, she was asked to do that Google search, it's much stronger than if the only person who says that she asked for the Google search is the person who did the Google search. Then it becomes sort of Karen Reed and the defense versus Jennifer McCabe versus, as opposed to being Kerry Roberts and Jennifer McCabe both saying that. And that's fascinating, the way this relationship developed between these two. And as I recall in the first trial, Kerry Roberts wasn't even cross-examined, was she? I don't remember that.
I don't remember, but nothing sticks out from her testimony. But yeah, you know, I think that whole establishing a timeline before they speak to authorities kind of plays into the defense with, were you told to insert how long, or did you stop from saying that?
Yeah, a fascinating development. I thought important testimony on direct, but the cross-examination did do some damage. All right, let's talk about reaction to day two. I know you're always out there trying to get us more and more info. What do you have for us tonight?
Okay, so there were a lot of big arguments outside of the presence of the jury, and I'm going to lead into statements from Karen Reed and her father. But there was these arguments over another clip, yet another clip that the prosecutors want to play that Karen Reed made to a media outlet, and basically where she was saying that she was confronted by Peggy O'Keefe and being accused in the death of Peggy's son, John O'Keefe. And these are part of those arguments, and then we'll get into reaction after.
Uninvited, the defendant and her father go to the O'Keefe house without invitation. They knock on the door and they ask to come in. They go into the house. There does not seem to be any interaction, at least with Peggy O'Keefe. And curiously, they go upstairs for 15 minutes. They stay at the house for less than an hour. This is a family that's grieving the loss of their son. Less than an hour, they go back outside. Instead of leaving in the one car, they take the alleged murder weapon, they get into two cars, and they drive away and remove the Lexus with the broken taillight from the scene. That is clear consciousness of guilt evidence.
I don't agree with anything Mr. Brennan just said. It doesn't go to consciousness of guilt. As a matter of fact, I think it very clearly shows the opposite.
Okay, so there's no objection. So there wasn't an objection until I said, is there any objection to this? And then you all came to sidebar. I mean, they were just going to play. So there's no objection to the first clip, right?
Yes, correct.
So it's the second clip when she really says, some have described it as with attitude, when she describes that interaction with Peggy O'Keefe that Peggy testified to never happened. We'll find out if that's played tomorrow, but he wants it. That was his argument for consciousness of guilt, of what was going on in the household after. So outside the courthouse here, we spoke with Bill Reed, Karen Reed's father, and he was asked if upstairs were they deleting any of the ring video from John O'Keefe's home. He said no. He said that he wouldn't know how. But he also said this.
Any reaction to day two?
Quick comment about today, Bill. Thought it was a good day for the defense. I mean, you saw the cross-examinations yourself. Looks like the beat continues. We've got a fabulous team. We've got a command of all of the evidence now from grand juries, prior testimony, and you just hear there's so much lack of consistency, and just feel so hot and so strong about it for our daughter. They're such an amazing, talented team, these lawyers.
You think you'll be called to the stand?
I hope so.
He said that he hopes that he's called to the stand when he answered my question. And Karen Reed, I asked her, you know, the reaction to day two. She just basically said she felt that it was a good day. And she said that the defense team is tired. Well, we do know that they work late into the night in their war room, as they put it, at a hotel in the Boston area. And then they're back at it. And we're going to be back here tomorrow. We'll be in the courtroom to bring you more reaction, Vinny.
Well, Matt, if they're tired, maybe they should stay at a hotel in Dedham and get rid of the 45-minute commute in the morning. You save an hour and a half. You get some extra sleep. But anyway.
It's really nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Matt, thanks so much. Let's bring in our live think tank in studio tonight. Criminal defense attorney, entertainment attorney, former assistant state attorney in Miami-Dade County, and former assistant DA in Atlanta. And he's an actor. Daryl Cohen, also with us, criminal defense attorney, law professor Meg Strickler, and national trial attorney Michael J. Furr is with us. All right, great to see everyone. Thank you for being here. Is anyone bothered by two prosecution witnesses who were spending all this time together prior to telling their stories? We're talking about Jennifer McCabe and Kerry Roberts, and all of a sudden we're finding out that Kerry Roberts is saying things to the grand jury that weren't true.
You know what? I mean, as you know, I'm kind of on the fence on this case, but the fact that they're friends or became friends, I don't have an issue with if they're...
It's not about friends. No. It's friends who were together talking about and putting together their timeline together. I mean, what's the first thing cops do when they get to the scene of a crime? They separate the witnesses and get all their stories. Nobody got their stories until they had their own conference here.
It's very troubling that all of this happened, but this is a tragedy that no matter what we do, no matter what the jury does, we can't make the tragedy go away. All we can do is look for justice, whatever justice is.
Justice is the truth. That's all we want is the truth.
Exactly. We hope that people will tell the truth, and that even if they're colluding and talking about things, that ultimately they'll tell the facts as best they remember them. And so they.
But they didn't to the grand jury. Isn't that a little? Isn't that a little problematic?
We
don't. No. It's not inconsistencies.
Well, the judge even asked him, did you lie?
She said she heard. I mean, this is a big point too.
If this case was in Ohio, this would not be an issue. The problem for Hank Brennan, and this is what keeps him up at night, is that a stealth juror will look at this and say, "Oh, that's it. That's a cover." At the end of the day, I think Hank Brennan knows he can't prove. It's not enough for him to prove his case beyond a reasonable doubt. He's got to prove it beyond a delusional doubt. He knows that there's a stealth juror in there. He needs to prove this beyond any delusion. And so there's going to be a stealth juror. Look at her. They were friends. Of course they were friends.
No, but they weren't friends until John O'Keefe died.
But they
did not know each other.
Correct, but now they are.
That's even better because they didn't collude at that time. Later, they began to be friends.
They immediately started meeting together, and the testimony, I mean, she said that on the stand today, that we got together and we talked about, we tried to figure out timelines before they spoke, before they told their stories to police.
What's the problem?
The problem is that she testified in front of the grand jury to things that weren't true.
She should not have said something that wasn't true. But as far as
isn't that the point of witnesses? That you go, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
But you
we can make
also
mistakes.
talk to other people, and you say, I just want to remember what I said. Did you say that? I want to remember that what I said is accurate, that the timeline is accurate. There's nothing wrong with doing that. What's wrong is if you don't tell the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what happened here.
On days when I'm late to pick up my kids from the bus stop, I make inconsistent statements to my wife 5 days a week. I can't keep my story, and that's within a week. This has been like 2 years. These people are like under a siege mentality. So at the end of the day, it makes sense that she would be inconsistent a little bit. I'm inconsistent on
it was on a big issue, though. All right, Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, did Karen Reed show the broken tail light to Jennifer McCabe and Kerry Roberts? That's another thing that she testified in front of the grand jury about. We'll take a look at that. Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates the Delphi murders. Cameras were kept out of the courtroom, but now, finally, some of the evidence has been released. And tonight, we take a closer look. Did prosecutors prove the case?
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Is Karen Reed a killer girlfriend?
She's guilty.
Or the scapegoat in an elaborate cover-up?
Karen Reed was framed! We know who did it.
The Karen Reed Murder Retrial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
After you met up with Miss Reed at Jen McCabe's house that morning, so this is just after 5 o'clock or so, the three of you arrived back at One Meadows, correct? Is that right? I'm sorry.
Correct.
Okay. You're trailing the Lexus SUV, correct?
Correct.
The Lexus pulls in to the driveway and you pull in directly behind Miss Reed and Jennifer McCabe is driving.
Correct.
You're driving your SUV, correct?
Correct.
You've previously testified that when you arrived at One Meadows at that moment, that once that SUV, the Lexus SUV, had pulled in and you pulled in behind the Lexus, you got out of the Lexus, sorry, you got out of your SUV, they got out of the Lexus, and that's a point at which Karen showed you the back of her taillight and said something to the effect of, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you think I hit him? Do you recall that?
I recall saying I didn't know if it was when we were coming or going, but she did point out the taillight.
All right, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. We're talking about when Jennifer McCabe, Kerry Roberts, and Karen Reed come back to John O'Keefe's house before they go to 34 Fairview and actually find John O'Keefe. There's two cars. Karen Reed's SUV is in the front. Theirs is in the back. And the testimony from Kerry Roberts was, we got there, we got out, and Karen Reed showing us the broken taillight at that moment. I want you to watch more of the cross-examination by Alan Jackson, because this is a big deal. It's when was this taillight broken, how broken was it, and who actually broke it? So let's listen.
Do you remember testifying in front of a grand jury on April 26th, 2022?
Yes.
Okay, about 2 years ago.
Yes.
Sorry, 3 years ago. You were under oath at the time. Is that right?
Yes.
Things were fresher in your mind at that time than they are now, 3.5 years later, I'm guessing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You were asked the question to describe the circumstance when you arrived at One Meadows. Is that right?
Yes.
And the answer that you gave was, quote, we pulled into it's a driveway, there's two cars, and then two cars, and then a single, so John's car is there. Karen pulls in, and I pull in behind her. When we get out, and Karen is now showing us the back of the the back of the car, saying, my taillight, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you guys think I hit him? That was your testimony at the time, correct?
Yes.
Can you pause? Do you recognize what's depicted in the video?
Yeah, that's when we arrived at John's house.
Okay, and who's the person with the plaid red pants?
That is Jen.
And who's the person that's just rounding the back of the car in front?
That is Karen.
What is the car in front?
That's Karen's SUV.
That's the Lexus SUV?
Yes, it is.
Behind that Lexus SUV, Ms. Roberts, is there another car?
That's my car.
And who's getting out of that car?
I am.
Okay. And this is the point that you were describing in your, at least in the grand jury testimony at that time.
Yes.
This is the time that you're describing.
That I thought it was when we walked in.
This is the time that you were describing, right? When you arrive at the scene.
Yes.
Or, sorry, arrive at One Meadows.
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this through. Okay, you can stop it. And you can bring the lights up. You saw the interaction between all three of you and the vehicles, correct?
Yep.
At any point, did anybody stop and take a look at the tail light or the rear end of the car?
Not when we were entering the house like I thought, but when we came out.
Okay. And there's no video of that?
I'm sorry?
There's no video of that?
No, I don't believe so.
Right. So the video that does exist describes nearly exactly the time that you testified that y'all stopped at the back of the taillight and Karen said, look, my taillight's broken. Oh my God, do you think I hit him?
Correct.
All right, that was more false grand jury testimony, Michael.
Yeah.
And how problematic is this? And by the way, the moment that she's describing just happens to be the moment that's not captured on video. I don't know where that video went.
I'm going to be excoriated online for saying this. I just think this is a fugazi. I don't think it's anything. I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, the broken taillight showed up somewhere. Where? Around John O'Keefe's body, in his clothing, right? So at the end of the day, that's where the taillight ended up. In terms of her testimony, it makes sense that there would be some inconsistency. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. All of them were drunk, except for Kerry Roberts. And so to me, it kind of fits.
Okay, you're saying inconsistency, but I just want to point something out, Darryl. I know you're chomping at the bit, Darryl, but I got to show you one more thing. Remember I was talking about Kerry Roberts and Jennifer McCabe huddling and getting their stories and straightened out. Take a listen to Jennifer McCabe testifying about this at the first trial.
When you get to Mr. O'Keefe's house, where do you park?
I pull in the straight in the driveway.
And after you pull into the driveway, at some point you all get out, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall who pulled in first as far as who was in front of who on the way to Meadows, yourself or Miss Roberts?
I believe I was in front.
You would have pulled into the driveway and parked, and Miss Roberts would have pulled in and parked behind, correct?
Yes.
And so after the three of you get out of your respective vehicles, what happened then?
Karen brings us to the back of the car and says, look, see, I have a cracked taillight.
With respect to that morning when you arrived, if you could, using a laser pointer, just sort of delineate for the jury whereabouts you had parked Ms. Reed's vehicle when you pulled in, if you see it in the photo.
So it would be right there because John's car was further over.
So Mr. O'Keefe's car was further over toward the fence?
Towards the fence, yes.
And so when you arrive there, you're looking at the taillight, and then at some point you go in the house, correct?
Correct.
How did you get into the house that morning?
The right garage door was open.
Okay, Darryl, explain to me why Jennifer McCabe and Kerry Roberts have the same consistent story that is not true.
What did I have for lunch yesterday? I can probably tell you. What did I eat first, second, or third? I cannot. The only infallible person that I know of is called AI. After a period of time, your memory tends to remember what you wanted to remember, so not necessarily what really happened.
Why are their memories consistently wrong?
But they're consistent.
They're consistent with one another, like two people who got together to tell their story before the videotape.
Because they choreographed.
But where was that video on the first trial, number one? Number two, I think the prosecution does have a huge hurdle in this case because now there's so many statements from the first trial that they can now use here in addition to grand jury testimony, witness statements from when it happened.
Why are two crucial witnesses both testifying to facts that aren't facts?
But when you watched
and this is a big deal. This is the tail light.
When you watched it today, I thought it would have been a good plan for the witness, Kerry Roberts, to explain herself. That she should have been more prepared to know how to explain herself. And then it would have been more credible. I'm going with you on this one. It would have been more credible that she didn't go and be consistent or inconsistent or whatever.
I don't like witnesses who don't tell the truth in front of the grand jury.
She didn't have an answer. When she was cross-examined on this particular issue, she acted like she was
and why don't we have the second video?
That's a big question.
That's a DGI. Darn good question.
I think the jury's going to find that they choreographed their testimony. It seems pretty clear to me.
Okay, so then what happens? What's the result of that? Does the jury say, you're choreographing testimony? Why should we believe
Then they don't
you?
meet the beyond a delusional doubt standard that I have for this case. That's my standard for this case. Hank Brennan has to prove his case beyond a delusional doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt isn't going to. If this was in Ohio, New Jersey, Texas, she'd be convicted. But like there's a mass delusion in Dedham, Massachusetts about this case. They're fully convinced that maybe, I don't know, Santa Claus brought the broken taillight.
But the delusion, there's no delusion that the testimony is false.
That's correct.
What are the odds of two people
But you got to keep
getting
wait for the rest of the
something
trial.
wrong?
Wait for the rest of the trial. And if we're going to have more and more of this, then we've got a big issue.
Okay, well, we've already got two big lies in front of the grand
The
jury.
prosecution is not trying this case, in my view, the way they should. They need to use the KISS method.
Yes.
Keep it short, keep it stupid, keep it simple, stupid.
It's going to be shorter.
They have made it completely convolution. It's convoluted, and it shouldn't be.
Agreed.
But Darren, let me say something. When you look at the two opening statements, here's how I read the two opening statements. Hank Brennan got up there and said, I'm going to prove to you that the world is round, and you're going to, if you believe it's round, you're going to find that Karen Reed killed him. Alan Jackson got up there and says, I'm going to prove to you that the earth is flat, and it's flat because Michael Proctor's a bad guy. That's their whole entire case.
That's not true. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
You got Michael
say
Proctor, but now you have two more witnesses that
exactly. So if he keeps going, we're going to have another hung jury.
All right, stay where you are. This is what we're going to do. When we come back, we are going to take a look at that broken taillight. We're going to put it back together. We're going to show you some video. What exactly was the state of the taillight before Trooper Proctor and the Massachusetts State Police took custody of the SUV?
The final reconstruction that you were able to do, correct? You would agree with me that there's one section of that taillight that was missing completely, correct?
Correct.
And that missing section is noticeably visible in your reconstruction, is it not?
Yes.
And do you still have that laser pointer there?
I do.
Would you please point to the section of taillight that's missing? Okay. Appears to be a hole on the upper left side of that exhibit.
Is that a question?
Yes, it actually was. I should have said right or correct, but I didn't.
Yes.
Okay. And you would agree with me, and if we could zoom back out, Mr. Bates, you would agree with me that the portion of taillight that you did not have was strictly on the rear side of the taillight, if I can call it that.
I am not sure what orientation that goes on to a car.
Okay. But in any case, to this day, you do not know where the pieces that make up that hole are or what happened to them, correct?
I do not.
Okay, it's time for the tail of the taillight. Okay, what you were just looking at were all the pieces that were recovered of the taillight and put back together. But they did not have every piece of the taillight. It's supposed to be all red. But as you saw there was a little sliver that was still white. So when they recovered all these pieces, they did not recover all the pieces. Now, both sides, the prosecution and Karen Reed's side, agree that the taillight was broken. The question is, how broken was it? Okay? Karen Reed saying it's just broken by a little sliver from backing into John O'Keefe's car. The prosecution is saying it was really broken. All those pieces were missing before Michael Proctor and the state troopers got custody of the SUV. Kerry Roberts testified about that today because she said she saw that taillight before it was taken by the police. And she says, well, take a listen to what she says.
Recognize what is in that photo?
That is Karen's SUV.
Is it similar or a fair and accurate depiction of how you saw the vehicle that morning?
Without the snow, I can't be positive, but this square piece was missing, as is in this picture.
The photograph you look at is not the car in the snow in the driveway the day you saw it.
Correct.
putting that aside, is that a fair and accurate depiction of the damage that you saw to the right rear taillight of Ms. Reed's car that morning?
Yes.
Okay, so what picture is Hank Brennan showing to Kerry Roberts? It's the picture on the right. So Kerry Roberts is saying the picture on the right, that's the taillight that I saw. Now the picture on the left is all the pieces recovered except for that one sliver. The one on the left, Karen Reed is saying that's what the taillight looked like in the driveway, not on the right. So here's the question now. What would that SUV look like if all the pieces that were recovered were put back on it except for the missing piece? Well, we did it for you. Let's take a look. Let's put that piece there. This is what Karen Reed is saying the taillight looked like in the driveway that morning. A sliver, just a piece is missing, not all of those pieces that were recovered at 34 Fairview. Why is this significant? Because we have video of the taillight that morning. Karen Reed here is backing up. This is where she says she cracks the taillight. Let's take a look. She's backing up, and John O'Keefe's car is behind her. People can debate whether or not there's contact. You know, you believe what you believe. We've seen it many, many times. Now, as she's pulling away, keep an eye on that right tail light. Does it look like it's just got a sliver missing or a big chunk missing? That's the case. That's the case, folks. So let's take a look one more time. Are we taking a look at it one more time? Let's do it one more time, folks. Take a look. Got my think tank next to me. What are you thinking? Tell me what you're seeing.
Listen, I'm a horrible driver, and I've hit a lot of things.
Yeah, but what do you see when the car turns around? Is that a little sliver or a big chunk?
I think it's a definite maybe either way, but I don't think it matters.
Yeah, of course it matters.
It does.
It's the most important thing that matters.
No, it's not.
There's
What
not
matters
much taken
is
away over there.
veracity. What matters is whether or not she hit him, regardless of whether she meant to or not.
Well, you've got to prove that she hit him. How are you going to prove it? Where was the taillight broken?
You have
It wasn't broken there.
You have to believe that it's a total coincidence that she backed up 60 feet and then stopped, but didn't hit him, and that somehow the taillight, they got to his body.
I get it. You're looking at everything. I'm just looking at the taillight. I want to figure this out. Let's take a look now. We have some still frames from the car pulling away. So on the right, that's how the video looks. So take a look at that. Is that a little sliver or a big piece that is missing there?
I see nothing there.
I see nothing there.
I see nothing. All right.
I see no
Let's
damage.
do the overlay. Let's put the broken pieces back on it. And is there any change? Is there any change? Or does it look the same?
Do it again.
It's perhaps brighter now that the overlay is there, but I see nothing.
I see nothing as well.
I see nothing, man.
Okay. So let's take a listen now to Karen Reed. She was interviewed, and prosecutors want to use this, or using this as evidence, talking about what happened to the pieces of the taillight. Let's take a listen.
When my car was seized, there was a few small pieces of taillight missing that I had picked out at John's at 5:45 before we drove over to Fairview. I'm showing Jim and Kerry, look what I just did to my light, and I'm worried that there's gonna be some kind of electric short circuit. There's like the bulb is showing, and some of the red plastic's missing. So I picked pieces out of the light housing that had kind of collapsed within the light and dropped them in John's driveway.
Well,
Jesus, she really should not have said anything. It makes it worse for the whole defense.
I mean, here we are, we're drinking, I remember, I think I remember what I've said, but maybe I don't remember. That, to me, is the problem. They were drinking, and what they
where's
say...
the missing piece? Does anyone know?
No, but who cares? In that sense,
it makes sense that it would have been.
12 people in the jury box want to know where the missing piece is. Is the missing piece? Why didn't they find it at the scene? And why didn't they find it on the driveway?
Blizzard. You have lived in the Northeast.
So many things get lost. Listen, I know her attorneys, by the way, told her not to talk. The fact that she was doing these interviews means she is so narcissistic. She had to have her story.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. There's no way Alan Jackson would have let her do it.
Yeah.
Can we take a look at that Sally Port picture? I see it's queued up. Let's take a look at that. Can we take a look at that Sally Port picture if we have it? Because this is the picture. Again, this is what Karen Reed, there's that's it put together. How about the picture of it now in the Sally Port? Oh, there's this close. That's a good close-up of the missing piece.
Dun, dun,
the missing
dun.
sliver. And it's important. You can say it's not important, but Is that what you saw pulling out of the driveway?
No.
For sure.
All right.
That's my vote.
I think she hit him.
She definitely hit him. Whether she meant to do it or not is another story.
Okay, if that's not what the car looked like pulling out of the driveway, how did all those pieces end up not on her right tail light?
Well, that's the $64,000 question and why we're at trial.
The $64,000 answer from the defense is that Trooper Michael Proctor was behind there. You see him in the video.
Remember, all we need to do is reasonable doubt as defense attorneys, and there's lots of it here.
Vinny, it's more believable that Bigfoot killed him than Michael Proctor broke that taillight, in my opinion.
All right, now I'm showing you a split of what a taillight looks like when it's totally intact. That's on the left, and what they say it looked like in the driveway that day on the right.
Different taillight. Different side of the car, different angle, different camera angle, different lighting.
I get it. Yes. But is there any way that the one on the right and the left would look the same in a video if they were like this, pulling away?
If
the car is pulling away, like we see it in the video.
If it was pulling away with all that white showing, it would have had a different light. It would have been more white, in my humble opinion.
But it's not. So who pulled the piece? Why did the pieces?
But that's what kills her case, though. Is her own daggone mouth.
No. Why does that kill her case?
Because
they gave her enough rope to hang herself.
She doesn't know when to be quiet. She doesn't know how to speak. She is so narcissistic.
How did the rest of the red pieces get detached from the right tail light?
I don't think the prosecution needs to worry about that. If they play more of her talking, that's what's going to sink her ship.
What a great job. Michael J. for making the trip in.
Yes.
Great to see you. Thanks, Meg Strickler, Darrell Cohen, thank you so much. All right, when we come back, I'm going to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, the evidence from the Delphi murder case has finally been released. Tonight, we take a look at Richard Allen's blue jacket. Does it match the bridge guy's jacket? We investigate.
Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, coming up next, only on Court TV.
You told police you shot him twice in the head.
I could have killed everybody in that building, and I didn't.
You think you should get some kind of credit for not killing people?
Interview with a Killer. New episode, Sunday at 8 on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Stephan Stearns, the man accused of abusing Madeline Soto and murdering her, testifies today. Yes, it is a suppression motion trying to keep out that cell phone evidence from his sex abuse and child pornography case. Let's take a look at Stephan Stearns on the stand.
During your contact with law enforcement, did they seize or take an item from you?
Yes, they did.
What item was that?
That would be my cell phone.
Do you know what type of cell phone it was?
It was a Samsung Galaxy, I believe it was a 24.
And what was your understanding as to what they were going to do with it?
They were just going to check my Google Maps and check to see if I was logged into Google, and that was it. That was all I agreed to.
So this hearing really is the whole case. He's trying to get the evidence from the phone suppressed. If it's not suppressed, if it comes into evidence, what defense does he possibly have? The images speak for themselves of Madeline Soto being abused. It'll just be a question of identifying Madeline Soto and identifying his private parts, and I think Jen Soto is the one who's going to do that. Right now, take a look at your screen, folks. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. Victoria Maynard, 17 years old. She's missing out of Dayton, Ohio since April 8th. Take a look at her picture. If you see her, make a call, make a difference. You can call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Dayton Police Department in Ohio. That number's on our screen right now. Let's see if we can get Victoria to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We've got another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is up next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.